Tucker Carlson is claiming that the CIA is setting him up for a crime he didn't commit. Specifically, he posted this on X yesterday. When you discover the CIA has been reading your texts in order to frame you for a crime. Let's take a closer look at what he said.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living, and I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge.
So obviously, there is a lot to unpack there, but this is actually just the beginning of the intrigue. Because if we go backwards a few weeks, Laura Loomer posted this on February 1st. Tucker Carlson needs to be investigated for possible FARA violations. Take a look at this video. And then she followed up last night posting this. If Tucker Carlson gets charged for violating FARA and or leaking information to Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, or Qatar, I am taking credit. Islamic sympathizers always project onto others what they are guilty of. You have no idea how relentless I have been in speaking to GOP reps and even reporting Tucker to law enforcement and the DOJ. I pray my efforts are successful. Tucker says the CIA read his text to, quote, set him up for a crime. Sounds like someone is trying to get ahead of the story, lock him up. And as if all of that isn't bad enough, she's now accusing other conservative influencers of being foreign agents and thereby violating FARA. Now, in case you're not familiar with who Laura Loomer is, she is known as the Trump Whisperer. That's not my claim. This is actually what Politico wrote. Trump whisperer Laura Loomer sharpens her knives for Pam Bondi. Now, she obviously failed there, but she has gotten other people fired from not just this Trump administration, but during his first term. In fact, Senator Mark Warner, who is the vice chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, said Laura Loomer is basically a cabinet member at this point. Trump and his entire administration are caving to whatever she wants. And back during the 2024 campaign, Laura Loomer's influence over Trump and his team was so incredible that CNN ran this hit piece against her.
I want to ask you about, when you talk about message, about something that has become an issue for Donald Trump, and that is his traveling with and apparently listening to Laura Loomer.
Well, what we continue to see is President Trump listens to a number of individuals, not just one individual that Senator Tillis might want to highlight, but he receives inputs from various individuals, and as he's on the ground, he's constantly asking what's going on, what are people seeing, how are they feeling, and looking for that input, continuing to solicit that advice, not just from a single source, but from everybody, and that's what's always made President Trump very intellectually curious.
Now, the reason I bring all of this up is because I really think that there are four main options as to what's happening right now. Option number one is Tucker Carlson is telling the truth. Yeah, the CIA, the government, they're setting him up. He did nothing wrong. And this is all just to silence opposition to what's happening in the Middle East, specifically Iran. The second option here is that Laura Loomer is the one telling the truth. She has gathered all this evidence against Tucker Carlson. She submitted it to law enforcement and the DOJ. And if there is an investigation, and if he is about to be charged, then it's because of the work that Laura Loomer has done. Option number three is that it's a mix of all of the above. The CIA was probably already doing this, and Tucker's trying to get ahead of it, and Laura is trying to jump on the bandwagon and claim credit for herself. And I think that the fourth option is none of it is true, and they're all just saying this for clicks. So they're trying to get more attention for themselves. It's all about the ratings. It's all about getting the most viewership for both of their platforms. Unfortunately, until until something else happens, we won't know the whole truth. We won't get the whole picture of what's actually going on. However, there are enough clues and breadcrumbs here that I think we can piece together an idea of what's actually going on. But first, we have to understand exactly what Tucker Carlson is being accused of doing. Specifically, he's being accused of violating FARA, which is the Foreign Agents Registration Act. FARA requires certain agents of foreign principals who are engaged in political activities or other activities specified under the statute to make periodic public disclosure of their relationship with the foreign principal, as well as activities, receipts, and disbursements in support of those activities. So, no, Tucker Carlson is not in trouble because he spoke with Iranian leadership or because he's met with foreign nationals. That in itself is not a crime. What is a crime is taking money from those people, trying to influence the American public with their propaganda because you yourself have been influenced or you yourself have been paid. Now, being paid in and of itself is not a crime. The crime here is not disclosing that to the public, not making it clear that you are a foreign agent. So this has nothing to do with Tucker Carlson speaking with foreign leaders. That's what he claimed in his video. Oh, they want to silence him because he's talking with the wrong people. No, he's being accused of taking money or being bribed or being influenced by those people to spread their propaganda to the American public and then not disclosing that either to the public or the American government. So it was a little interesting to me that in the opening of his video, Tucker Carlson misrepresented what was going on. Again, he's claiming they're targeting him for his freedom of speech when that's not the underlying accusation at all. And instead of defending his statements, he actually changed course. He pivoted and then started mirroring a Democrat talking point against President Trump. Yes, Tucker Carlson is now accusing the Trump administration of being an authoritarian regime. Take a look.
So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too.
Now, none of that says that Tucker Carlson is guilty of anything. I'm just saying, my point here is it's really interesting that at the very start of his video, he misrepresents the potential case against him. And I say potential because the CIA hasn't done anything yet. There's been no notice, no statement from the DOJ, so we don't even know whether or not this is true. The only two sources we have are what Tucker Carlson is saying and what Laura Loomer is posting all over the internet. So first, he misrepresents the supposed case against him, and then he pivots and calls the Trump administration authoritarian, basically says that they're trying to silence his freedom of speech. So I think it's just a really interesting tact. Perhaps, it's his way to defend himself in the public, but others who are more jaded may say, is he trying to discredit the Trump administration, to discredit the charges that they're bringing against him? That could be attacked as well. Now, to be very clear, if it turns out that the Trump administration is authoritarian, if it turns out that they're trying to suppress Tucker Carlson because they don't like what he's saying about the war in Iran, because Tucker Carlson is very much against it, then of course I'm going to say that's wrong. Of course I'm going to say Tucker Carlson has freedom of speech. I will be the first one in line to stand up, cheer, and defend him, but that is not the accusation being brought against him right now. And as if all of that wasn't interesting enough, on top of Tucker misrepresenting the claims against him, on top of him pivoting to attack the administration instead of defending himself, there have actually been many credible claims from outside the U.S. against Tucker. Just take a look at this headline from Vanity Fair. Tucker Carlson, funded by Russian propaganda machine Justin Trudeau, testifies under oath. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not like Vanity Fair and I do not like Justin Trudeau. However, this is a verified story, and for a foreign leader to testify about something like that under oath, would that not suggest that there is at least some evidence here that is worth investigating? And I know that Justin Trudeau is not American. However, it is possible for an American, Tucker Carlson, to sue a Canadian over defamation, for libel. So if that wasn't true, it's interesting that Tucker hasn't gone after him. On top of all of this, on top of that claim that Tucker is a Russian propagandist and is being paid, there is also a claim that he's actually willfully spreading Iranian propaganda. Take a look at this clip from his own show.
You start seeing video on Instagram of smoke in the Dubai airport, and you're like, I think I'm going to Cabo this year. Oh, sorry, drug cartels. Whatever. Maybe you go to Sedona this year. It really, really hurts these countries. And Israel wanted to hurt these countries. That's the point. Wanted to hurt these countries. Wanted to sow chaos and disorder because they are rivals of Israel. So it's probably not, hasn't been reported, but it's a fact that last night in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, authorities arrested Mossad agents planning on committing bombings in those countries. Now, that's weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Israelis be committing bombings in two Gulf countries, which are also being attacked by Iran? Aren't they on the same side? No. Israel wants to hurt Iran and Qatar and UAE and Saudi and Bahrain and Oman and Kuwait. And they've succeeded.
So, Mossad agents, Israeli intelligence, according to Tucker Carlson, they were arrested by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. However, this hasn't been reported by the news, and in fact, both those countries have vehemently denied those claims. They are flat out saying this is not true at all. Just take a look at this moment right here.
One claim that has made a few headlines lately is a claim made by the media personality Tucker Carlson, who alleged that some Mossad intelligence agents, that's Israeli intelligence agents, have been detained in Qatar and also in Saudi Arabia. They were allegedly, according to him, suspected of planning attacks inside allied Arab nations. Now, we had a guest on this channel yesterday from Saudi Arabia who repeated those claims that Saudi Arabia had captured or detained those Mossad agents. I just wanted to ask you what you make of these claims.
Well, conspiracy theory in a situation like this can be always a big bromo, and it makes the news. I don't think the Saudi government have officially announced anything like this. I don't think there has been any evidence, supporting and endorsing such things. In fact, today there was reported by Reuters or by other agencies that Qatar and Saudi Arabia denied, such an issue. So I think if the journalists who have said it, he has an evidence, he might be willing to share that evidence and present it.
Now, is it possible that both Saudi Arabia and Qatar are lying and Tucker Carlson is telling the truth? Of course, that is possible. But it's also being alleged that, hey, where did Tucker even get this information in the first place? Did he just make this up? Did he get that from someone inside Saudi Arabia or inside Qatar? Or did he perhaps get that from the Iranian government, who, by the way, the propagandists in Iran were also spreading that misinformation? That in itself doesn't prove anything, but it is interesting that as he's being accused of violating FARA, we all know that he does have a track record. He has a pattern of parroting Iranian propaganda and Russian propaganda. Again, freedom of speech. He can say whatever he wants. The question is has he been influenced by foreign powers? Is he being bribed? Is he being paid? Is he a foreign agent? And has he not disclosed that at all? I'm not saying I know the answers. I'm not even claiming to have the answers in this video. I'm just pointing out all of these different viewpoints and all of these different angles to try to breadcrumb some sort of answer before we find something out either from the CIA or the story just goes away. Now, Tucker Carlson made some very interesting points when it comes to the U.S. government spying on the American people. But before I get onto that, I would like to thank the members of today's Governor's Club. They are Karen Necht, Super Roamer, Blake Patsy, Kathleen Ide, and Gloves Off. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. Well, after he said all of that, Tucker Carlson then went on about how the U.S. government does spy on American citizens. Take a look.
Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel. And they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing.
Really interesting here, right? Because again, he uploaded a 5-minute video and I've played about 3 to 4 minutes of it so far. And he's not defending himself. He's not saying, I didn't do anything wrong. Again, he pivots and he uses another tactic. And it's an emotional appeal to all of us because no one wants to be spied on by their own government. So he's appealing to that sympathy, right? We shouldn't be spied on. But that's not the issue here. The issue is, did you do something wrong? Did you violate the law? And look, we know that the government has been expanding its surveillance. This really took off after 9/11. And unfortunately, like all things when it comes to the federal government, as those government powers grow, it's very difficult to shrink it. It's very difficult to put it back in a box. And I'm not arguing against that. I do think that there is too much surveillance. No one wants to live in a surveillance state. No one wants to see 1984 come to life. I think that's true for everyone. I just think it's interesting that instead of defending himself and saying I did nothing wrong, he's pivoting here and trying to appeal to people to get them on his side using a thing that we all pretty much agree on. And also, this actually goes back to his original claim, which is when you discover the CIA has been reading your texts in order to frame you for a crime. So which is it? Are you upset, Tucker, that they were spying on your texts? Or do you expect us to believe that they're framing you for something you didn't do? Also, why does it matter? Like, if they could just frame you for something, why would they have to spy on you in the first place? If you're suggesting that they're going to put in emails or text messages or some sort of evidence that you didn't send or do or commit, like, why does the spying even matter in the first place if they can just frame you for that? Because isn't that the insinuation? Isn't that the implication if you're saying that they set you up, that they frame you? I guess what I'm saying here is all of this just doesn't make sense to me, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens if there are charges brought against Tucker Carlson, or if this story just disappears and is swept under the rug because, everyone was just trying to get clicks. We'll find out soon. So all of that leads to the key question: why did Tucker Carlson choose to make this video? And fortunately for all of us, he actually answered this in his original upload.
None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
So I'm not sure what he's trying to implicate here. Is he trying to suggest that the rest of us are going to be framed by the Trump administration? I thought that everyone was just under the basic assumption that our text messages and our calls are being monitored or could be monitored at some point. You drive down the freeway and there are cameras everywhere. This is no secret. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm not saying that we should put up with this. But for Tucker Carlson to say all of that, again, are you angry that they're framing blaming you? Are you angry that they're spying on you if you have nothing to hide? Like, it just, all of this doesn't make sense. And I don't quite know what to make of it, but those are the pieces, those are the facts as well as I know them. And I would love to hear from you. So what do you think is going on here? Again, I believe that there are 4 main options. Number 1, Tucker Carlson is telling the truth. He's being framed for something he didn't do. Option number 2, Laura Loomer is telling the truth. She put all this information together. She has actual evidence that Tucker Carlson is a foreign agent, and she sent it to the DOJ and law enforcement. They're taking action. Option number 3 is the CIA was doing this anyway, and Laura Loomer is just trying to hop onto the bandwagon to gain more credibility and more visibility for herself. Or option number 4, it's all fake, and both sides are doing this for publicity. They're doing this for clicks. What do you think is the most likely option? What do you think is going on here? Or hey, is there another possibility? Is there another option that I didn't think of and you think could explain what we're seeing right now? Let me know your thoughts, your predictions down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.